Okay, today we are going to start with the topic public policy. And to start with the topic, first you need to understand is that public policy as an academic pursuit emerged in the beginning of the year 1950s. The reason behind it we'll get to know as we proceed with the topic. But one thing that is very, very important and you should know right from the beginning is that this concept of policy sciences was first formulated by a person called Harold Laswell in 1951. Now, let's try to understand the concept public policy, and to understand it, we'll first try to understand what does the term public means and what is the meaning of policy. So the meaning of public, it's very very simple, and because it anything which is in the domain of common interest or common ownership or common purpose is considered to be public. But to understand in a more better way, one thing more is required, that you should be able to differentiate it with the another term, that is private. So for that help comes Mr. W.F. Weber. He talks about 10 differences between the public and the private. So, if at all you are asked a question to write difference between the public and the private, so you can take help of these 10 points, and these can be considered as the basis of distinction between the public and the private. First basis of distinction is the complexity of the task. So it's very easy to comprehend that public task is going to be more complex in nature, and the problems faced in the public sector in the implementation of any decision is going to be more compared to the private. And the number of people employed in the public sector are of course more than the people employed in the private sector. And there is more opportunity. There is a tendency of securing opportunities or capacities is more in the public sector compared to the private. And fifth basis of distinction is that there is a tendency of compensating for the market failure in the public sector, unlike in the private sector. And in public sector, as this is a sixth point, that public engages in the activities with symbolic significance. Seventh is the standard of commitment and legality is more in the public sector compared to the private sector. And eighth point is that in public sector there is an opportunity to respond to the issue of fairness. Ninth basis can be that the public sector, they operate in the public interest. And 10th point is that for public sector to function they need public support. So if at all you are asked a question, so you please take help of F.W. Weber's distinction between the public and the private sector. Now, let's understand the concept of policy. Unlike the term public, policy is not a precise term. It's not very easy to define what policy means, because uh, definitions keeps on changing as per the. Okay, the concept of policy, right? It is not a precise term, in the sense it's not easy to define, the term, because people have different meanings. People have given different meanings to the term, uh, but generally it means that policy means that it is a guidance for action. So action can take the form of like declaration of the goals. It can also be considered as a course of action, or it can be considered as a declaration of the general purpose. or it can be considered as an authoritative action. So in short, like see, if I make if a distinction, it might appear to you all that goals, action, course of action, and general purpose or action, they all appear to be same, but no, they are different thing. Because see, the stage at which uh, the policy is being considered, suppose if it is considered at the very initial state, that is, a person is just at the stage of deciding what to do, that is also a part of policy. A person who has decided okay what to do, a person who is deciding what will be the course of action, that is also a part of policy. A person who is deciding what should be the motive behind taking an action, that is also a policy. And if you are deciding what will be the objective, what goal you want to achieve, that is also a policy. So that is the reason it becomes a very complex term. It's not easy to define, because it depends on the person, with what motive, okay, and at what stage he is considering it. Now, just for example, okay, before that, let's understand why it is being considered as a complex term. Because as Hogwood and Gurn, he gave almost 10 uses of the term policy. And the policy can be, the term can be used to mean a field of activity. It can also mean the desired state of affairs. Specific proposals, also another meaning given to the policy. Decisions of the government is also people do talk that okay, this is the policy of the government, but what do they mean? They mean the decisions of the government. It can also mean the formal authorization, right? Getting okay from the government. It can also mean a program, it can also mean an outcome or output, or a theory or a model. Like for example, suppose India's foreign policy, so it's a theory that they believe in. So they believe in uh, certain ways of dealing or having the relationship with the other country, just for an example. So it's in theory. Just or it can also mean as a process, like their policy means okay, they are going to follow this process, so that is also a policy. So different people have given different meanings, so that is the reason it cannot be considered as a precise term. uh, and just to substantiate what we just mentioned, that it is a complex term or it is not a precise term, let's see let's see what people have to say about the public policy. So Wydra says that policy are general directives on the main lines of actions to be followed. Peter Self, he says that public policy is changing directives as to how tasks should be interpreted and performed. So if we go through all these definitions, you'll realize that different people have given different meanings to the term public policy. But one thing that we'll get to understand after analyzing all these definitions is that public policy is a purposive course of action taken or adopted by those in power in pursuit of certain goals or objectives, right? So it is for a purpose. So that purpose can form the motive behind a particular action, and then when that action leads to the desired purpose, that means it has achieved the goals, right? So it is at what stage it is defined, at what stage it is considered, that is the reason it has become a complex term. So this was just an introductory lecture on the public policy, nothing much to learn. But next lecture will be on the nature of public policy, the scope of public policy, what are the types of public policy, and the significance of public policy. So stay tuned. Please share and subscribe. Thank you.